I'm a clinical psychologist, and I heard someone talking about law. Was she in the legal field at one time?
She was thinking about it.
Okay, I think she did. Okay, I almost changed my mind too. Actually, my family is from Cuba. Now, you know, the little island out there. And my family was several judges in my family. You know, they were actually multi-millionaires at the time. They were investors and real estate people, and also judges. But one day, there was a knock on the door of our mansion, and there were 4 guards with some machine guns, and they said, everything is now property of the state. As you may have heard, there became a communist takeover. So our family was able to get out of Cuba. My mother was ambassador to the U.S. from Cuba at the time, stationed here in the U.S. So she was able to get our family out. We were able to have a good fortune here. Later in life, I actually came to the school here. I was, with you guys, undergraduate in psychology. And then I thought, well, you know, law school is an interesting thing, because a lot of my family members are in law school. But when I went to law school, I hated it. I didn't like it at all. I had my first taste of not doing very well. So I actually went to see a counselor, and I said, you know, I don't know what to do. I love psychology. I don't know, should I be a psychology? Should I go to law? And pretty soon the counselor was so confused, he didn't want to be a psychologist anymore. But eventually I did complete my law degree, did some practice, and then eventually I decided, you know, I'm going to go back and be a psychologist. So I went back, I got some master's degrees, I got a PhD in clinical psychology, I wrote some books, you know, did professorship. And then recently I opened up a practice about 4 years ago in forensic psychology. So forensic psychology is dealing with law and psychology. You guys may have heard of CSI and things like that. That's, you know, criminal side. We do what's called immigration psychology, which is an interesting field where we help people, like families that need to be together, you know, from being separated by doing evaluations. We do like sorts of reports and evaluations. We also do personal injury cases, people involved in serious accidents, there's trauma. You know, you've heard of PTSD, where people have flashbacks and nightmares, you know, car accidents, shooting cases, burns, you know, any kind of accident or injury. We also work with victims of crime. We do therapy for people who have been assaulted, murdered, raped. We worked with a lot of parents whose children have been killed by a gang fire. You know, just innocently standing somewhere. And then you can imagine the horrible trauma that comes from that. So we work with support groups and do a lot of outreach in that sense. So one thing I want to tell you, can you pass this out? I have a little handout for you guys. Research I've done and presented for the APA, Forensic Law Society, that deals with how do you evaluate someone in a trauma, let's say an accident or something that happens. And it's called the eggshell skull versus the steel skull. Now, if you think of an eggshell skull, what do you think of? Something's fragile, right? Fragile, maybe they suffered previous trauma, maybe their sexual abuse, physical abuse as a child. And later on, maybe they're assaulted, or maybe they get into a big accident. So it becomes, someone's more vulnerable, more weaker. They suffer more as a result. So some people have that, you know, they're eggshell skulls. They get weaker as time goes on. Other people get stronger. You know the word Buddha, the word, you know, steel skull. Some people get stronger and more resilient as they have more trauma. So there's been research on what are the factors that indicate, you know, who's going to become, you know, weaker, who's going to become stronger. And as a result, we do therapy with clients, and what we do is we try to instill these 7 qualities, or 7 traits of the steel skull personality. People that, you know, can overcome horrible trauma, child abuse, domestic violence, you know, people losing, you know, people with gang warfare, whatever it might be, or serious accidents, people that, you know, have limbs amputated, they lose their children, things like that. So I want to talk to you about some of those factors and maybe see get your feedback on them. The first factor that's very important in healing after trauma is humor. Okay, humor is very important. You know, getting that perspective that you're bigger than the problem you're facing. One of our clients, the guy was in Alvarado area. There was a lot of gangs. He lives with his family, you know, regular guy. He was biking one day, and some gangs wanted his bicycle, you know, so they tried to steal his bicycle. Ended up taking a machete, chopping the poor guy's hands off, you know. And, you know, family guy, you know, never had any problems, you know, and it was horrible. But he has such a sense of humor, you know, such a sense of that he was able to overcome, and now he's working, he's back, you know, with his family. So humor is very important. In fact, they know that in bombing raids, people that experience bombs, you know, say in wartime, if they have humor, they have less likelihood of developing PTSD symptoms 1 year later. So they're able to overcome it. So there was a student that was saying to his dad, you know, I'm not going to school anymore. I can't stand it. And I'll give you 3 reasons why. Number 1 is boring. Right? Number 2, nobody likes me. And number 3, I hate school. And the dad looked at him in the face and says, son, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you are going to school. Number 1, it's your duty. Number 2, you're 45 years old. Number 3, you're the teacher. Now, speaking of humor, there's also something called paradoxical attention. Paradox is when you do the opposite. You ever heard of reverse psychology, that term? Where someone has this idea and they're so focused on it, but you do kind of the opposite of it. There's a famous psychologist named Milton Erickson. He worked a lot with hypnotherapy, very paradoxical techniques. He had a ranch where he would see people who would come out for therapy. And one day, the guy came in and he believed he was a dog. So he was actually on all fours barking, ruff, 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 ruff. And nobody had been able to cure him. He got other psychologists and everyone tries to talk him out of it. You're not a dog, and Erickson didn't do that. He says, okay, I have a doghouse in the back. Yes, she took him to the back of the doghouse and had him sit there, with some food and all that. 6 hours later, the guy comes out, wait a minute, you're treating me like a dog, I'm a human being. And then he says, you're cured. Just like that. So humor can have that paradoxical effect. Another important element of the steel skull, the resilient person, is something called compassion and empathy, feeling for someone else. Do you guys know the term empathy? Where you put yourself in right, feel as they feel. And also helping others. I had one client where her son came back from college to New York City. She was here, after years of pretty much not seeing him. And they had reunited finally. He went out with some friends, just hanging out, and he saw a girl that he liked. He made a comment to her, and she took it the wrong way. She thought he was insulting her. She brought in her uncles and cousins, ended up stabbing the guy to death. 21-year-old kid. Obviously, as a mother, only son, that was, horrifying, traumatic. She's crying all the time, we're doing therapy with her. So I asked her eventually, what is it that giving you, something in life? I mean, obviously your son, was your joy, but she said, well, I love children, So eventually she ended up becoming a foster mother, for other children, and she was able to give back, the same love she had for her son, and give them the same empathy and compassion, kids that didn't have mothers. So that really helped the healing process. She started to, get better and get back to work, and obviously never recover, but at least that emotional improvement. Another factor we see in these cases is meaning, finding the meaning in the trauma or the accident or whatever happened to you. So one man was a workaholic. He had a great business built up, corporate business, and he got into a horrible car accident. He was paralyzed in bed, for a long period of time. And he realized, I had not been spending time with my family. This, in some ways, this accident was a wake-up call, right? It was a blessing in disguise. I could, talk to my family, and what was more important was the love I had for my family than the work I was doing. I was overworking. So he actually learned meaning from that. That also helped him heal psychologically. He found a meaning in the trauma or the accident. Another one, this is interesting, it's called emotional granularity. I feel like we're in a class, but I'm a professor, so it's okay. Emotional granularity is being very specific in your emotions or your feelings. Now, a lot of people don't do that. For example, how do you feel right now? Good. By the way, if we ask Latino clients and they say bien o mal, right, which is good or bad, that's not really a feeling. That's like a general state. So a feeling will be, those little faces, or happy, or what else? What would be another feeling? Surprise. Okay. So let me ask you, what are you feeling right now? Okay. Now, okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. Is tired a feeling?
No.
No. It's a physiological state. Give me an emotion. Okay, where are you actually? I picked on you. Okay. Okay. By the way, I'm a shy person, by the way, too. And I actually transformed it in some way. I wrote a book called The Gift of Shyness. Who here is shy? Anyone shy? Okay. I mean, a lot of people are shy in different situations. Like maybe in public speaking, for example, or in relationships or different things. Are you shy? Okay. See, I'm picking you out, right? Okay.
None.
How many shy people does it take to change a light bulb?
None.
None. They'd rather stay in the dark. So I help people with that whole idea of transferring their shyness. But anyway, okay, emotions are important. What do you feel right now? You said, what did you say? Good. But now what do you say? Okay, is that mad? What do you call it? A little bit so-so? What are those emoticon things? What are those feelings like? Emojis, that's right, emojis. So give me an emoji for you.
Smiling now.
All right, smiley, happy, content, discouraged. I mean, there are a lot of emotions. So people that actually can specify their emotions do better in therapy. They actually heal better because they're able to specify where they are and make improvement. So we use what's called cognitive behavioral therapy. You guys may have heard of that, CBT. Changing your thought process to change your feelings and change your behavior. That's an important thing. Now another factor we try to work on, also using CBT and other methods, is what's called optimism. Optimism comes from the word optimus, which means to expect the best. And we find that people that actually are lucky in life are more optimistic. They've actually done studies on luck. You can actually create your own luck. People that get into car accidents and have bad luck in relationships and all that, and in business, often are very pessimistic. People who are optimistic often get better luck. You know, they win the lottery, they get into the right jobs and situations. So I don't know who here is optimistic or pessimistic, but they did a study where they have people in a room, and these people were either unlucky in life or lucky in life based on previous history. And they asked, okay, there's a bank robber that comes into the bank, shoots in the air, and hits you in the shoulder. Is that lucky or unlucky? Now, people who are unlucky in life in general would say, well, you know, that's unlucky, you know, because I was just minding my own business and some guy shot me in the shoulder. People who are lucky in life would say, you know something, that's actually good luck. I could have been shot and killed. Right? Plus, I'm going to be on the nightly news tonight and get free publicity for my business. So we'll take it in and turn it into a positive, right? So that kind of mindset will actually help them overcome whatever tragedy they have. So optimism is very important. Another one, this is one that comes from positive psychology, which you may have heard of Seligman, who's created a new research area, building up people, you know, the human potential. Gratitude is very important. And they actually done studies that people that keep a gratitude journal, every day write down 3 things you're grateful for, let's say for several weeks, have 40% less depression and 30% better sleep, just by that simple exercise. Every day write 3 things you're grateful for. It can make a big difference. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful that this morning AAA came to jumpstart my battery.
So-
I was able to get here. I'm grateful for my family, and I'm
Excellent.
grateful for my cup of coffee.
Beautiful. Okay. I like that. Okay. And we'll Aquafina. Okay, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful that at school today, not asleep.
Are you sure about that? Okay. All right, so you enjoy school?
Yeah.
That's cool. What are you grateful for? Yeah.
Just grateful that I'm relaxed. I'm doing well in my classes. Making progress so far.
What are you grateful for?
My job, my friends and family.
Good. Anyone here have dogs or animals?
Oh.
Oh, come on. Oh, I knew that would happen. All right, tell us about Do you have a dog or?
Yeah, I just transferred, so she's 3 hours away.
You have one now? Oh, all right. Say it again. You what now?
I just transferred here this semester
Okay, you left your dog somewhere else?
with my family, yeah.
Where's your dog?
My parents in Baker, so.
Oh, okay. All right. So you feel a little bit, are you going to see the dog in the weekend?
I saw her yesterday.
Okay. What's the name of the dog?
Luna, she's a German Shepherd.
Luna. Okay. Isn't she grateful for her? She's nice. Isn't that nice? Look at that smile on her face, right? She's cured. Right? She's cured. Right? Okay. All right. So 7 things, right? Social support. We know that having friends, family, religious activities, social activities, people that support is very crucial to overcoming trauma. War veterans that have social support have 80% less likelihood of developing PTSD within 1 year of coming back. So that gives you, the support, the empathy that you need as a human being. So basically, that's kind of what we do. So we do a lot of evaluation, therapy. I mean, some of the things you guys can do. We actually are looking for interns. It's helping us in some of the writing that we do, some of the research. We do outreach as well. We go to, for example, women's shelters and other groups, where people have trauma. So we can help us maybe if you have any speaking skills, organizational skills, help us with aspects of the office. And basically, learn about forensic psychology. Learn about the interaction between law and psychology. And basically, how to help people, because when you're in a difficult situation, your family's being deported, and this is a situation that's like if you marry a citizen, for example, you're undocumented, you have to go back to your home country for up to 10 years. Unless you prove emotional hardship and business spouse for the person to go back. How would you feel if your spouse went back for 10 years? Obviously, emotionally, right? Devastated, depressed, anxious. So we do those kind of evaluations and we write reports and do therapy for these people as well as victims of crime. Is anyone here interested in doing that, going on eventually get a master's degree? So some of you guys might have that in mind. So for undergraduates, I mean, there are a lot of things. I assume some of you guys speak Spanish. I'm speaking. So we have a lot of Latino clients, so definitely interfacing with clients, phone calls is important. We built the Victims of Crime board in Sacramento, so interfacing with them and helping people get, for example, housing. If you're a victim of crime, you can get up to $2,000 for housing relocation. If you're afraid, for example, of being attacked again, or if there's a legitimate fear, maybe you live in the wrong kind of neighborhood and people know what happened and that kind of stuff. And also other mental health benefits, also burial benefits and things like that. So a lot of things that can be attained, if you're a victim of crime. You can get actually up to 40 free sessions paid by the state, if you're a victim of crime, and also your family can receive 30 sessions as well. So it's a great benefit for them. So helping, the victims as well. Personal injury cases, immigration cases, a lot of research is important. Writing skills. And some of you may have speaking skills. So, we do some presentations like we did today. We reach out to different organizations to help others, to educate them about the rights, psychologically and also legally. So basically, the key is to find your don. You guys know the word don in Spanish? Which means like great talent, right? All of us have different talents. So I would definitely want to interview you and see, what is your great talent? What is your passion? What do you want to do? And then, within that, try to fit within what we're doing. Because some people are good at organizational things. Some people are writing, they're a little quieter. Some people are talkative, extroverts. So I wrote a book, actually, that's a bestseller in love relationships, using the Myers-Briggs. You serve the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So it classifies you, and also is used a lot for career choice, introvert, extrovert, those kind of things. I just did a presentation in Las Vegas for the Behavioral Society, talking about MBTI and also in work relationships, conflicts. People who are introvert, for example, don't like to talk a lot, sometimes they do, but it's about energy. Anyone here an introvert by any chance? You get energy from your thoughts? Okay. Only one person? An introvert doesn't mean you're shy. Introvert means that your energy is from your own thoughts. You can actually be a non-shy introvert. So you can talk. I'm a non-shy introvert in some ways. I can talk to you guys, but then I get tired. I get take a hot tub bath later on, or listen to music or something, relax. And then some people are what we call shy extroverts. Shy meaning that you're a little bit uncertain in the beginning, but once you're comfortable, you can really talk to a lot of people. Anyone here an extrovert personality? Extrovert meaning you like a lot of friends, you like to talk a lot. Are you extrovert? How do you know?
I'm taking the test on ENFJ.
Okay, you're checking that test, ENFJ. Okay, growth
So
teacher.
according to that.
Okay, according to that, but are you the person that likes to socialize and talk? Anyone know this person? No? Are you the talkative kind of person?
I mean, it depends on the situation.
Right. But getting energy from your own thoughts is more introvert. So introverts can be talkative for a short period of time, but then extroverts are often out there in the social world. So anyone here an emotional person, like you go by your heart, making choices? Yeah, go by your heart? Now only 1/3 of males actually are feeling, but you're one of those thirds. Okay. How do you know you're a feeling person?
I don't know, I just tend to rely on my intuition a lot for some reason.
Okay, intuition is a little different. Intuition is imagination. I go by the heart, the feeling. Like, yeah, do you cry at movies and stuff like that? You get sensitive? Isn't that cool for a guy to say that, right? Okay. And some people are who's very logical, like you're very analytical, you like analyze things. Okay, so you have maybe a different skill set, right? Are you that too? All right, you do a little bit of everything, huh? Are you logical? Who's logical in the back? You are? Okay, tell me about that.
Well, usually I overthink things a lot, so
Okay, overthink, okay.
and
All right.
I always try to analyze every aspect of whatever problem to get the best
Useful, yeah.
solution.
People have analytical skills, useful. Emotional people, feelers are to do with other people, interpersonal relationships, deal with clients, counseling. And then we have the structure, spontaneous, Myers-Briggs, the K and the E, I've heard that one. Anyone here is very structured, like really organized, on time, schedule oriented? Okay, the rest of you are messy, disorganized, and late. So, they're different styles, right? So the structured people are very good at office work and organization. Spontaneous people are good at, being very free-flowing, right? They're able to deal with emergencies. So I'd like to understand your personality type. So I might even give you a little test where you come in, right, to figure out your personality type. And then from there, we kind of pick the slot that, you might put the best in.